is a next-level presentation hosted by Allegra Consulting, designed for the Pasadena Department of Transportation. My name is Mira Manick, and I will be your facilitator and coach. By providing you with 10 major public speaking tips, this session is set up to enhance your abilities to connect and engage with the community about programs and services offered by the Pasadena Department of Transportation. Join us as we discuss understanding your audience, the impact of storytelling, crafting your presentation, tackling difficult questions, calming your nerves, and keeping it simple. Employing the tips provided in this training will help you prepare a polished and memorable presentation, making you feel confident in your outreach efforts. Let's get started. Understanding your audience includes understanding the makeup of the audience, the breakdown of the audience, their gender ratio in the audience, their socioeconomic situation, their political beliefs, their religious beliefs. If I was doing a presentation to a group of young millennials, then my jokes about AARP won't exactly hit with them, correct? What is the event about? When I do speech writing, I have to think about whether I'm doing a fundraising gala or if I'm doing a informative presentation, if I'm helping somebody out with that. Ask yourself where, when the event is. All those things are very good. The time of year, all these things. Are you going to be outside, indoors? What's the setup like? And why? What's the purpose of this event? All these questions are critical in helping you put together your PowerPoint as well as drafting that message that goes with it. What does make a good speech? When you're giving a presentation and somebody in the audience goes home and somebody else asks them, what did you learn today? Did you learn anything new at work or anything today? And they're able to actually recall lines from your presentation, that's a mark of a good presentation. If they said, oh, I felt something, I felt good, or I felt a certain vulnerability from the presentation, that's a mark of a good presentation. So finding the storyteller in you. When you're putting together a story, what you need is a theme, a message, and the story needs to be visual. Someone mentioned they were reading the Bible. It's a great example of how stories of our values, our morals are being passed on. And the stories need to be visual, and the way to do that is with details. You need great details. If you just said, oh, I'm reading a book, I don't really get the impact of the kind of book you're reading. But if you tell me the names of the book, who's in the books, that you had trouble with the names in the books, now you're sharing details with us. What's a gripping introduction? How can I lay out the problems that we're facing? And the problem doesn't have to be so dramatic or anything. It's literally just the information about the situation sometimes. But the solution is what you're offering. What are we offering to either make the city, improve the city in some way, alleviate something, and then the visualization. How do we paint a picture where our constituents are implementing what we're suggesting and how their lives are better? And then take action. What do you want your constituents to do? Do you want them to get a bike share membership? Do you want them to adopt a pet? What is it that you want them to do? Okay, when it comes to your PowerPoint, we want to keep it simple. Make the images high resolution. This image, if it's blown up on a screen, it shows grainy and isn't high resolution. I can see it all right in here. So always make sure your images are very high resolution. Sometimes you can just have a picture on a page and that's your entire story. That can tell everything about what you want to explain. And if you need to fit more words on a slide, that means you have to tighten up your message. Always think, how can I put an image first to explain my story and the most important copy I need? Fifth point here, focus and breathe. One is you have to rehearse your presentation. So you've asked your audience, you've asked yourself these questions about understanding your audience, and then once you've put your presentation together, you're rehearsing your presentation. Don't ever think that you can get up here without rehearsing anything. I coach a lot of executives who feel that, no, I'm just gonna let it go, I'm gonna pass, and it always falls short on them. Power poses means not only just the way you're sitting and the mental clues you're giving yourself before a presentation, but it is also making sure you're standing like this as you're giving a presentation. Deep breathing is very critical. How many of you, when you get up to speak, feel your heart rate just skyrocket into your throat? All right, good. Only a few people are willing to admit that, but that's what happens. It's happening to me even as I'm speaking to you. So deep breathing is very important, and keeping yourself hydrated. the day before a presentation. And sometimes what that takes is right before a presentation, if you're there early, go to the bathroom, sit in your car, do your power poses, meaning you're sitting up, your hands are by your side, nothing's folded, and you're deep breathing. And you're letting yourself know that this is gonna go well. You're gonna do really well. Visualize where your hand gestures are gonna go, where you're gonna look, who's gonna be in the audience. Think about what you do well with a crowd. Are you sincere? Does that work well? Then make your presentation lean towards that. Are you funny? Then try some of those stories. Are you lively? Are you a person who likes to fill the room? Use those to your advantage when you're trying to entertain and capture their attention. Never have them read the slide. Remember, you are the main attraction. The slide is always something that's enhancing a point. It's never making the point for you. So if you're doing a 20-minute presentation, don't start the day before. You have to put in a minimum of 3 weeks. You have to try it out. You have to see what works. Nothing works on the first try. You have to try again, present it to other people, present it to your dog. The likability factor of a speaker comes with the preparation. When the audience feels that you fully prepared, you have an entertaining opening, you're engaging, the storytelling's there, the likability naturally happens. But don't get caught in your presentation talking to the PowerPoint. If anything, memorize your introduction, memorize the first few lines coming out of your mouth, no matter what it is. If you have a joke, if you have a story, anything, memorize it and make sure you're talking to the audience. Maintain eye contact. I have big eyes, so I can't miss anybody. Like, it's constant. I'm looking at all of you, right? Okay, project your voice. So if I didn't have the mic this whole time, I was just using this, I didn't even realize it wasn't on, is because I can project my voice to fill the room. And that comes from really speaking from this area rather than this area. If you have trouble projecting, if you're already just a soft-spoken person, then know that you need a mic setup. Know these things. Set yourself up for success is what we're saying here. Vocal variety. How many times have you heard a speech where it's just one tone? That's a difficult thing that we all endure, and that's why storytelling is so important, because storytelling is the tool that you'll use, the device that helps your vocal variety. It helps you vary the tone in your voice. If you're telling a story about Little Red Riding Hood, you're not going to tell it in one straight tone. You're going to say she was in the forest and there was a big bad wolf. Right? You're going to change your vocal variety. So that preparation, that rehearsal is critical in allowing your delivery piece to build and become that much more natural. Those elements, the delivery, the eye contact, the likability, the hand gestures, your body language, they start to build one on top of the other. Okay, present, don't read. If you can have a visual, that's your best storytelling tool. Forget even putting a word up there, just put a picture. You'll be able to tell so much information, you'll be able to convey so much information with a visual. One, it helps you tell a story. You can tell the story that's in the picture. And the picture will provide you details of the kind of story you want to help with. And answer questions as they come up. Questions are very difficult. If you get a question while you're doing your presentations on your bike share program, always take the question. Always acknowledge the question. Even if someone's having a difficulty with something, acknowledge that they're feeling a certain way, and then pivot to some solution, pivot to something positive. If you don't know the answer to a question, that's fine. It is very powerful to say, I don't know, but I can get back to you. Always leave with a positive tone. Acknowledge that they had a question, have them write it down, and then be able to follow up with them. If you can answer the question in the moment, go for it. Again, acknowledge, great question, thanks for sharing today. If you can't, hey, please document your question. We'll make sure to get back to you. I'd like to bring it back to my team so we can look at it further. Always make it seem like we're working with you. Whatever it might be, just double check on technology, time constraints, re-engaging the audience. This is when we say controversy, that's when the questions come up and it gets difficult. How do you have a backup plan for that? That's when I would bring small note cards to say, hey, can you write your questions on here? We'll take them at the end. The audience wants you to take control, especially when there is somebody who's interrupting. They want you to do it. So feel empowered to say, hey, we can take questions later. All right, so this was a very swift run through of 10 tips, 15 years worth of my studying in quite a little bit of time.